Alright, so another video. Thought you guys might like to see one of the little toys I've been working with. Now, in Fuselage, I have a couple of random number generators and number sequence generators. And that's so that I can do procedural generation consistently across multiple platforms. I don't want to be able to get random numbers on Windows and Mac and Linux, and if I want predictable outcomes, have all of the seeds generate different outcomes. So Fuselage kind of settles upon a standard so that when I procedurally generate things like star systems, I can get the same seed. Now, as you can see, this star system here, when I fly over it, I get a seed there, and that seed's used to generate the star system. And if you look down there, you see the planets, the star itself, and all of the planets from the inside to all the way out, and all of their moons. I will always get that same configuration when I use the same seed to generate my galaxy or whatever. It's really not a galaxy. It's just a little miniature universe, whatever. I don't know how big it theoretically could get. Um, I'm sure there's probably limits. It's going to wrap around naturally because of the uh, constraints of the size of the integers used, but still, it's a lot of different planets that are going to be in this little universe. And to change it, all you would have to do is change the seed. Now, I've got a seed hard coded, but there's no reason you would have to. Now, the entire galaxy set of stars, whatever, is procedurally generated, and we can tweak them values, types of planets, all their attributes, create a bunch of tables to interpret the seeds, and of course, every generated item will get its own set of seeds for further refinement, so that a planet could then lead down to a topography that you could land on and exploit for resources or build bases on or whatever. I mean, I'm not fleshing this out to be a real game, um, though it would make a good starter for a Starflight wannabe. No, I'm doing this mainly just to make sure that my number sequence generator is consistent between platforms. Now, kind of seems like a moot point since most of GDMF isn't completely usable on Windows or on Linux and Mac. It is on Windows. Everything's feature complete on Windows. On Mac and Linux, everything's in various stages of not usable at all. But we'll get there. I basically consider Windows the reference platform. Everything else is a port, and we could argue about whether I'm even wasting my time with that because I really hate Windows these days. Things that Microsoft are doing make me not want to support them anymore, but let's face it, most people play here, so for now it's a necessary evil. Um, so yeah, there's plenty to do here. It's a fun little I say plenty to do here as far as work. There isn't really a whole lot to do in this little demo, but it's a fun little experiment. You could see the potential, I'm sure. I'm sure initial players of No Man's Sky were probably feeling the exact same way. Uh, all the potential with nothing to do in the game, and that's kind of where this is right now. But like I said, this is not really meant to be a game, it's just a little experiment. So, oh, I forgot that, yeah, so the left trigger kind of goes in reverse. So there's a lot. Oh, yeah, continuum flux. So for those of you who are familiar with Starflight, you may remember the little continuum fluxes. These are kind of wormhole-like things that you kind of use to hop around to different pairs throughout the set of stars that you encounter. Now, one of the cool things about a continuum flux is, in the way this is generated, um, they're very rare in this engine. I could tweak the numbers and make them more popular, but the way it works is for a very large, overreaching group of sectors within a certain range of each other, um, anything that's not a star gets set to a potential candidate for a receiving end of a continuum flux. And only when two pairs point towards each other does a continuum flux spawn in. So any point that I'm traveling over that's not a flux could potentially be one. It's pointing towards some other sector, but since that sector is not pointing back towards it, it's not spawning a flux. So, yeah. If you have a little universe you're playing in with something like this and you want to get around quickly, you can map out your fluxes and kind of do point to point hopping, maybe minimize your distance. And of course, you know, uh, if you were playing a game where your goal was to go to different star systems, buy and sell goods, and then hop to other systems and sell them, you create trade routes, kind of like Starflight 2, the trade routes of the Cloud Nebula. So that's where continuum fluxes become real useful. So, yeah, this is what I've been working on, and this is, like I said, this is not a serious game. This is just me testing my number crafter thingy, my little random number sequence generator. Procedural, deterministic, well, a deterministic interval chance enumerator. That's the whole philosophy behind dice. Um, if you would like to see this developed into a game of some sorts, I mean, let me know. I'm open to ideas. If somebody wants to collaborate, I can hand this over to someone and assist them into turning it into something playable. I would love to see that happen. Um, really, if you just want to play with the source code, let me know. Most of it's going to end up in GitHub eventually. I'm trying to clean things up so that I can publish all of Fuselage and all of the examples so that they can be consumed by the public, not only for tinkering and learning from, but also for demonstrating what the engine can do. And most of this stuff that I'm doing here is never going to be pushed out into a real game unless somebody wants to, take it up and turn it into something useful. I don't care. Credit would be nice for the work that I've done, especially on the engine itself. But the whole point of Fuselage is to make it possible to make retro-style 2D games in a consistent fashion across all platforms and make it extremely efficient and fast. Oh man, this controller sucks. It keeps wanting to disconnect, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's a cake problem or just an 8-bit dough problem, because I don't have that usually with any of my other controllers, and this one just seems to be, I don't know. But I also don't seem to have that problem with this controller in other games, so it may be my framework needs some work. I don't know, maybe there's like an idle timer or something, and I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But anyway, so yeah, this is the number system. I've got dice, the deterministic interval chance enumerator. Also, by the way, one of the cool things about this is that it is tracking the frame rate and the game tick rate, and it will also be used to keep the timers for the sound system and other things when they're available. One of the cool things about keeping the simulation tick rate and the frame rate decoupled from each other is that it doesn't matter how fast your computer is, you can set the cycle speed of the simulation, and of course your GPU is going to render frames as fast as it can if you've got VSync turned off. So if you've got a really fast GPU and a mediocre CPU, well, the game can still be designed to run at the same speed no matter how fast the CPU is. And this is how most games are designed these days. But a lot of people will synchronize their game speed to the refresh rate of the game or some divisible factor of it. But the way DICE is set up, you could have a tick rate of 45 ticks a second and a frame rate of 144 hertz, and the disparity between them wouldn't affect gameplay at all. It really just depends on the game's author's need. I mean, if you've got like a puzzle game that only needs a game tick rate of 1 check per second, why waste CPU times, going over the input and everything thousands of times a second? It just wouldn't make sense. But if you're designing a bullet hell, you're going to want input polling and everything to be as fast as possible. So, hey, maybe set that tick rate to 240 hertz. If your computer's fast enough to pull it off, I mean, most these days are, there wouldn't be any negative consequences to doing that. If your GPU's kind of a potato, then you might only get 40 frames a second or 100 frames a second or whatever it's capable of. But the game's polling rate and the game logic gets to run at full speed while your CPU does what it can do. They're running on separate threads, so they kind of don't really interfere with each other. It's really nice use of dice. And by the way, all of the systems in Fuselage, if I've never mentioned this before, they're designed in such a way that they're not aware of each other. So dice and GDMF and Cake, none of them are aware of each other. They're all being handled by Fuselage. It invokes them as external systems and manages them each, acting as a scheduler between them. And so if somebody wanted to use Cake, if it's not broken, and I don't have things to fix in it, which I'll have to explore that later. But if somebody wanted to use Cake in one of their own projects, they could do so without needing dice or GDMF. So one of the cool things about this whole system is it's being designed in a modular fashion. If somebody decided they didn't want to use GDMF and they wanted to use something like RGFW or GLFW or even SDL, they could definitely do so. Nothing's locked in. Now, Fuselage is designed around all of these. But there's no reason, obviously, Fuselage couldn't incorporate some other underlying system. In fact, it was originally built on top of Raylib, and the whole point of writing GDMF and Cake was to decouple it from Raylib. But all of the underlying functions that were used to make Fuselage work with Raylib still exist, and if somebody really wanted to rely on a more tried and true system, there's nothing stopping them from doing so. Anyway, that's rant time's over. I'm sure this video is a lot longer than most people who are my target audience care to listen to, but if you're still here, thanks for watching. And yeah, so if you're not subscribed, you know what to do. If you are subscribed, whew, why? But no, seriously, if you want to collaborate or discuss this, I'm open to all inquiries, all comments on all of the sausage medias. So get in contact with me. Let me know. What do you think of the engine? What do you like so far? Do you think it's pointless, which a lot of people probably do? Would you like to see a feature included that I hadn't thought of? Remember, the whole purpose of this is retro games from a dream game console that could have existed around the year 2000. So there will be some rudimentary 3D coming. There's going to be a very competent sound system built into it. Everything's being built from scratch, though, and I'm doing it in my spare time, so it's going to take a long time. Anyway, like I said, rant time over. Hit me up with questions, comments, concerns. Leave a remark down below telling me how this is a colossal waste of time. You're wrong, but, I still don't mind hearing other people's thoughts. So, in that, I'm closing, and I'm going to go have some sausage and eggs, and it's too early for a beer, but that probably won't stop me. Have a good one.